Hi there. In today's video, we are going to see how to use Argo Rollouts with Testkube for blue-green deployments. Argo Rollouts is a popular tool used for progressive delivery, and it has a comprehensive documentation that you can go through to configure it on your cluster and learn more about it. In this video, we are going to have a weather application which will have two different versions, and we would be using Argo Rollouts along with blue-green strategy to deploy different versions of our application. The test workflow will be executed when we are progressing to a newer version, and only if the test workflow is successful, the newer version will be progressed. So let us look at the experiment file that we have. So in this YAML file, which we have titled Testkube experiment analysis, is where we define everything related to Testkube. So here you can see we have set up the Testkube context along with the details like API tokens, root domain, organization ID, and environment ID. You can get all of these details from the Testkube dashboard. The next step is to define the test workflow that you want to execute. So in our case, we already have the test workflow in our cluster. So we have it here. You can learn more about how to create a test workflow from dashboard. Then we define the success condition, which basically is what happens when the test workflow is successful. So in this case, we have defined the condition to be 0. So when the test workflow is successful, the progression will happen. And in case it is failed, the progression will not happen. The next step is to create the rollout template. And this is where we define what strategy we are using to deploy our application. In this case, we have chosen blue-green. So you can see that there are two separate services. One is active service, the other one is preview service. And both of these point to the blue and green versions of the applications that will be deployed. We have also defined the template, that is Testkube experiment analysis, which it will refer to and execute the test workflows when we issue a progression command. Apart from that, we have the regular services and ingresses configured as well as part of this rollout. So we go ahead and apply this to the cluster, which will create the service, it will create the ingresses, and also deploy our application with the default V1 version of the application. So now the application is deployed, the rollout is successful. Let us go ahead and check it on the Argo dashboard. And there you can see that the rollout blue-green is successfully created with the V1 of the application deployed. Now let us go ahead and see the V1 of the application that we have. In order to do that, since I'm using Minikube, I run Minikube tunnel, open it in a terminal window, and then I go ahead and get the list of service URLs for the application that I want to access. So if you see here, we have the services for rollout blue-green active, the rollout blue-green preview, as well as the weather service. So we'll take the IP address of the weather service and look at what the application version that is being deployed. So when I open that, we see that the V1 of the application is deployed, which shows me the weather of Hyderabad. Now let us go back and try to put the new image in this case. So we'll go back to our code and execute the command to update the image from V1 to V2. So let us go ahead and do that. So we give kubectl algo rollouts, set image, provide the rollout name, and provide the new image. The moment we execute this command, internally the new rollout will successfully happen. It will successfully begin with the newer version that we have provided. However, since we have defined a test workflow to be executed along with that, we can see an experiment being created along with an analysis run for the test workflow that we have specified in the experiment. So I can go ahead and do a kubectl get analysis run and then describe the particular analysis that is being executed. So let us try that. And the status of this would be running or successful. So in this case, it is successful because the test workflow has passed successfully. And you can see the status over here as well. It is successful. To validate the same, we can go to our Testkube dashboard and look at the basic K6 workflow that was part of the experiment that we defined. And if you see here, the test workflow execution is successful. So in this case, the success condition has been met because the test workflow is successful. And that is what we see on the Testkube dashboard as well. We can also see the same thing on the Argo dashboard as well. So if you go to the Argo dashboard and you click on analysis, you will see that the analysis run was successful and it mentions analysis has passed. So everywhere it mentions that the analysis is successful and passed. Now we can go ahead and validate if the analysis has passed, whether the new version has been deployed or not. So we can go to the version and refresh the page and you see the newer version of the application is deployed, which now shows the weather of New York. So that is how you perform blue-green deployments along with Testkube and Argo rollouts. For more details, do read our blog post.